Hello and welcome, and today is the 28th day of November 2017. Welcome to a hashtag crypto trading video. Everything you do within your own risk and your own reward. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Bitcoin chart, mainly talking about the alternate coins in this particular video. But on the 400-minute time frame, since the break of the upward trend line, it has had nothing but elevator rise style gains. And whenever you rise well above the 18 average like such, I guess you can call that an elevator ride. And when you ride within the 18 average, you can almost state that's using the stairs to a ride higher. So it took an elevator ride here. Then it rested for a bit. A rest point is having to come at some point. 10,000 is a psychological number. We'll see how this level goes. But what I did state on the outset was that anything around 10,000, 10,400, like that's just a small gain. So it's a conservative level for what a break would be. So it's now at the lowest level I would expect for where it could go to within this move. So definitely upside root potential, but I have no idea when this thing is going to stop going higher and start a decent either sideways or downwards retracement. But let's now move on to alternate coins, and we'll start off first with the code Ethereum Classic. And we'll bring it or start it off within the 3-day chart and technical analysis. How the doing, because they're doing pretty good. All right. Beautiful up move against Bitcoin as it had this move from here up to here. Now we can talk all we want about how Bitcoin doing so great that these altcoins, Ethereum Classic included, even more so with its decline, has been going down a lot because of the Bitcoin dominance. Okay, that's true. But let's think for a second. For the year-to-date percentage gain, Bitcoin, which was around $1,000 at the start of the year, is at 10,000. That is magnificent, spectacular, fantastic, glorious, amazing. When 2017 begun, Ethereum Classic priced in Bitcoin started from the bottom. Now it's here. It was way up here. Whole point. It was much, much lower back then. Priced in Bitcoin, priced in another asset class up 10x already. So before I shorten out this time frame, I'm first going to talk about the pattern that we are seeing. Go to the US dollar chart to basically go over what I'm talking about within. And then we'll take a look at this on like the daily 400-minute time frame, so on and so forth. And within the 18 average, every single time since this market flattened, there was never any real attempt to do anything to break out. This is very common in many situations within downtrends, to have very quick pierces above the high and fall. Same thing on uptrends, although it didn't do such in here, where it falls below the 18 quickly and then manages to come back within. But this move in here is stating change of possible direction. Stage 1, band flatten out, right here. Stage 2, establish resistance. Stage 3, come back to support. And so coming back is to the band area. If it barely pierces above it, close enough. But I like it if it can at least come deep to within the band. 18 average of lows is great. I don't have the 18 average of closes on here, but it's somewhere in the middle, and I can tell it's in the middle. That's good enough. In between is pretty much the 18 average of closes. And now within the next market move, it is working towards completing stage 4, which is breaking resistance. And the big thing is getting above the 18 average like this with further momentum, we can see some decent volume in here, but that will look more clear when I shorten out the time frame. So definitely a very bullish, interesting situation as far as price objectives is concerned. I would think at least an area towards this previous congestion top, but where can I mean, this previous high, it's pretty low. So I suppose it would be the lowest I would expect, but it's an interesting move how it's already up here and it's only in the phase of trying to correct the market over. Again, before I switch it through, technical analysis doing what it loves to do. I've talked before about the head and shoulders pattern. When you have the left shoulder in here, and what happens? Everything happens by the book. The neckline gets taken out. It resists the neckline, coincidentally with the 18 average of highs. Then it breaks that short-term support area, and then it has a big down move. Goes to where it comes from, and now it's starting to revert the trend. Technical analysis doing what technical analysis loves to do best. Let's take a look at this priced in US dollars next. In a much different story, so we've seen what you could call a horrendous downtrend on the Bitcoin chart. But if you want to see how other things look at the price of gold, silver against Bitcoin, the stock market against Bitcoin. How about Amazon shares, which are kicking ass against Bitcoin? The price of anything you buy in this world that's not cryptocurrencies is getting destroyed against Bitcoin. I know myself as a Bitcoin trader, I'm feeling a world of major deflation, as so it seems, because all the real items I buy in cryptocurrencies, based on not only the gains that Bitcoin has been getting, but my ability to increase my Bitcoin number to thus increase or outperform an already kicking ass asset class, that it makes buying things cheaper. But that's what these cryptos are doing. This was one long sideways correction throughout the second half of this year for about a half a year, in a range from around $10 to about 20 or so, 20 and change. But it has now broken through this resistance today, and that's a pretty interesting situation. Now, short term, when I look at this pattern, I have no idea what's more likely to happen. And that is, say, a significant gain, say close to $50, or a significant short-term correction, because that's what it would be, say, to the 18 average, or probably coinciding in here. I have no idea what's most likely to happen. But long term, when I'm seeing this pattern, well, by all means, she's looking pretty good. You had some pretty high volume here towards the top. You had some unsustained high volume towards these two key points. And we have continuous high volume as this thing is looking to revert. It seems like something you might want to take a little serious, at least. So I see. Let's take a look at this a little further. On the 400-minute time frame, this thing is going pretty good. So from the November lows, under $10 or around $10 per coin. Oh, now it's over 3x gain. How you doing? Big gains, of course. And after you break key levels, you got this level of resistance and this point. Now, when your situation of previous high, one thing that makes me scared to sell is exactly what we see here, is that it won't resist much if it does. So you could be a know-it-all thinking, okay, we were here, had a nice correction. When it gets back up towards this level, I'm going to sell and it's going to be good. And when you were selling here, you're like, yep, I was right. And read the message of the market. And it's the period that I'm talking about is roughly in here. We see it was just barely moving at all, stayed up to that high level above the 18 average indication. It might be ready for another pop. It had it. Just want to... I like to say that because there's no indication here before this green candle it was going to pop. It was sideways. It was going to go one way or another. The only indication you can say that it was going to pop whenever it was ready to is usually these neutrality patterns resolve themselves in the path of least resistance, and of course in this case being higher. Let's switch this off back to the Bitcoin cross. And I'll do so using the daily time frame. So again, this is a chart that looks like it's got its butt destroyed because of the very long downtrend trying to get out of, and against Bitcoin, it did. So here we see this big volume come in on this rally. A little bit of decent volume that started, at least compared to what it had from before. And when you get these moves, the correctionary move is the big thing, because I've seen so many times within these cryptos where markets will have a move higher and then come back to the band and then fail. In this case, when it came back to the band, it didn't fail. I had one person mentioning in a comment earlier how great this 18 average is because of how well it can work in buying situations, and at times it can, and at times it can't. Here's a spot where the 18 average didn't do so well, but in bear markets it makes it very difficult to do it. And each time in here that it tried to revert the trend, it never did it as nicely as it did here, because each time it had a pop of its rally from the 18 average. As we could see, the green candle started within, green candle starting within. Situation here is it presented itself with a nice bullish situation that gave it decent prospect. Well, the prospect was great, but the correctionary phase has been fantastic, as we can see. So there's the difference of what a successful correction looks like, and of course an unsuccessful one. You would have noticed that maybe differential would have been sometime in here. Instead of this two green candle up, you'd have a red candle down. Don't know what I did to push that. Actually, I do know. I pushed something on the keyboard. And now instead we have this green candle up. It's like a cup and handle formation, but it's a very beautiful pattern, and it's difficult to see short term how this thing is going to move. Whether it can, if it's going to come back, maybe test some sort of support area or have a nice little breakout. I really can't tell either way at this point, but definitely something to consider serious at this stage given what I have been showing and seeing. Let's move on to the next one. This is code XLM. And we'll take a look at it on the Bitcoin cross first. And within such, it had its big rally from the decline. So far, it's successfully correcting this area, but now, not on the beautiful volume like we were seeing with Ethereum Classic, but still something to definitely give respect for, that this could be having a play for a breakout. With this level of resistance amongst here, it's really important to hold and stay above this level. If it doesn't, I would definitely be very cautious within a code of this nature. This one's really high on, it's like in the top 20 on the coin market cap for market cap, that is. But again, similar situation, looking to try and break out. If we take a look at this at a more longer term time frame to help look at where this has the potential to go. We use a daily chart, and well, I guess it could have huge upside potential. It did before. I mean, how do you do kind of business when markets, when these cryptos are ready to go, they can go. This, I talked earlier in this video about the stairwell higher and the elevator. Well, this is a rocket ship move to the upside. Like, how do you do move for sure? Also, this thing started off way down here at the start of the year. So despite losing all of this, it too is not only up for the year, but it's beating Bitcoin, which is also up about 10x. I'm going to now show this chart priced in Ethereum. Yes, XLM/ETH. As this is where I'm personally trading this. I bought it back in here somewhere in this range. I bought it against Bitcoin. Then it came down and I bought it against Ethereum. I bought more of these in here. I sold a bit here. I've sold a bit up here somewhere. I got 4 more sell orders ready to go if this thing happens to have some spectacular gains. That's like how I am playing it. I'll be looking to buy back next if it comes down here. My highest buy order is at about the previous resistance point in here. I'm going to finish this off within Core, K-O-R-E, priced against Bitcoin. And I got the lines in here. They represent sell orders. So sometimes you can hope and wait. You don't get your meat. You don't get your food. You don't get paid. And I use the word meat as in the reference as in the wildlife, there's animals, predators looking for their prey. You look for the attack, and they're good predators, but sometimes the prey win. And that's how I look at it, as the prey beat me in this situation. So be it. I lost on this particular occasion. However, I can still come back. Market dynamics, technical analysis is at an interesting point. I draw a line at a key point, but price action, this red line, is exactly where I would want to draw it. For one of the interesting spots to be a buyer is when you have a big level breakout like this. You had so on big volume. Okay, that big volume doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a bull market run. Could be, but doesn't mean it for sure. But if it's going up like this, like, oh, got to place a buy order. Well, where do I buy? Well, where it came back from. If it goes up nice, if it barely goes up, maybe at the 18 average of lows. If it goes up nicely, at the 18 average of highs. So it goes up nicely. Missing my sell order. Thank you. That's fine. And now it's back to where it came from. It's at the 18 average of highs. Now I'm already in on a position and I'm not buying until it comes back to previous low. That's my next buy order here. I do not appetize the idea of buying anywhere in here. Either now. Down here it's only okay. I'd even rather even lower than that. Because of market sentiment. The story has been made. The cards have been played face up. At least this particular card has been played face up. The card is the statement of reverting the trend. And it's doing what it normally does. It makes its move. It's okay to come back, which is why, to me, this is where you'd expect it to come back to, aka buying situation. As if that statement is true, then you're pretty much buying at a low point. However, if this doesn't, then this is most certainly going to be a failed breakout. If price action comes back to within this 18 average over the next couple of days and stays and holds within it, even here might be a scary buy and you're like, you know what, this should be moved lower. But because I got further buy orders lower than that, I'm fine with holding it in there, because even in that situation of a failure for this, I realize there's most certainly an opportunity, if I'm a buyer here, to be a seller in here, which is pretty much where I would consider that. But anyway, Just wanted to go over that point. It's at a key situational time right now. And it's either playing out to coming back to where it came from on a great setup, or we just seen we're in the early stages of what will be a failed move lower. My guess is that it's got a better chance of being bullish, but it's not I'm not firmly strong within such. I mean, it's in the volume is nice. I will give you that in here, but that volume could be toppy too. That could very easily be the top volume. And let's take a look at this against the US dollar, and I'm going to finish this video off. And we'll take a look at this on a weekly chart. So this goes back to 2014. This baby's been in business for quite some time. And even just looking back at the historical data, we can see that this was an interesting level of resistance. Of course, this lower part wasn't valid only until this point came in. And it had a nice little break out above such. The 18 average was great support for one small leg higher. It's now been support for the last several periods. Therefore, it's either soon going to be done its correctionary phase. You see price action holding and staying above this little area in here for a while. And you know what? It might be ready for a very great push higher. But if I talk about that failed move, fast move on that chart I was talking about, and this thing, that last chart doesn't look so good. Well, right now this 18 average has already flattened out. So stage 1 for market reversal is band flattened out. That's already been done. Stage 2 is establish support. Well, before it even gets there, it's got to test and break the 18 average of lows, because any further momentum to the upside that keeps price action higher will resume this 18 average to the uptrend. But the next stage would be establishing a level of support somewhere, and then come back to the band, then take it out. So if there is a correctionary move, it's just in its early stages, at least against the US dollar, of doing such. I have no idea of what the next play is going to be. I know no fundamental analysis whatsoever about it, but I know my technical analysis, and I realize that any of these neutrality patterns usually resolve themselves within the trend, the path of least resistance, and of course, in this case, higher. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.